So we're going to be moving into the demo sessions now. There will be 2 stages with 12 projects total. Stage 1 will feature, if you want to, we have Aftermath, Echelon, Sudo, Mole Finance, Toaster, and Navi. Then stage 2, we will have Scallop, Econia, VibrantX, Link, AlphaFi, and Infinities. I guess I should introduce myself as well. I'm Chase. I'm from the marketing team here at Supra. Today, we do have some exciting projects lined up for demos on stage 1, which I will be introducing as we move forward. Firstly, let's welcome to the stage Glenn from Echelon. And also just a side note here, Mole Finance, you will be up next. Thanks for being here today, Glenn, and the stage is yours.
Thanks, Chase, and thanks everybody else who presented before me. Super excited to be here and discuss Echelon and the future of Move DeFi and how we plan to work with Supra and other chains to bring it forward. Bringing you here to the main page of the application. But what is Echelon before we start? Echelon is a money market, plain and simple, but we designed it for 2 reasons. 1, because of the performance and security of the Move language, and 2, because of an innate need to provide efficient lending solutions for both liquid stake assets and real-world positions and collateralize them effectively. We started designing the protocol about 10 months ago. Prior to this, I was working at an investment fund, doing many crypto strategies and early stage venture, including Oracle networks, layer 1s, layer 2s, including some of the Move chains as well. We decided to start building this out about a year ago with the team because we saw an innate need for better DeFi solutions in the Move ecosystem. So Echelon right now is a borrow lend protocol with a couple strategies baked right into it and a couple integrations directly inside the application. So as you can see here on the main page, we have the lending dashboard as well as a couple other features. First, I'll take you over here to the swap tab. So we're natively integrated with other AMMs and aggregators on the Aptos blockchain. So if we wanted to move some of our USDC to USDT, say the APR was better, you don't have to leave the app. You can supply directly and see zero slippage due to the capital efficiency of the partners that we're integrated with on Aptos. Swap this or not. So the AMM integration is one thing we have directly inside the DEX. We also allow margin trading on the positions. Currently also, we allow people to integrate omni-chain for bringing assets to and from the Aptos blockchain and soon to be others. So through our partnership with Layer 0 and Wormhole, we have a bridge to widgets directly inside of the application. So here. And with our partners at Econia Labs, the on-chain order book on Aptos, we have a native on-chain Aptos APT and WETH USD order books directly inside the application. Going back to the main page of our application, I'll show you how the lending flow works for a user. One feature that we designed our product with is high efficiency lending, using E-mode to allow people to gain high LTV loans against certain asset pairs. One thing that we had in mind was capital efficient borrowing of liquid staked assets like STH APT or other staked LST tokens on any network. So if you want to supply an asset, you can supply it normally and borrow against it at up to 90% LTV using E-mode. We also designed a feature that allows a one-click loop. So if you wanted to supply this asset and borrow against it and continue resupplying it, we facilitated a strategy which is all encompassed in a single click. This basically makes the user experience a lot faster, a lot more easy, and a lot more manageable. So currently this asset is yielding 10% roughly, and the borrow cost of borrowing APT, as you can see on the main market, is under 2%. So it's a profitable strategy for a user to supply one, borrow the other at 90% of the value, and then continue looping up and supplying. So I'll show you here how we can facilitate this in a single transaction. So as you can see, the net APR of this position is well over the vanilla 10%, which the staking rewards give. And just like that, the position increased. You see how I supplied only 50, however, I got about 250 more, and this was all done in a single transaction. The reason we were able to facilitate this so quickly and so cheaply is because of the performance of the underlying Move chain. The total gas cost, as you could see, was about 1/10 of a cent. And all this happened within 1 second finality. We also have this feature available for stablecoins, although you'll need to change the E mode over to stable correlated. In the future, there's a couple of products that we're launching that we're quite excited about. The first is isolated lending markets. So currently, all collateral and all debt is in a global pool and weighed against each other, but we're going to soon be rolling out the isolated markets where there's individual agreements between certain asset lenders and certain asset borrowers. So this is good for stuff like RWAs and more longer tail assets like meme coins, because the lenders can pick their specific risk profiles and lend accordingly. Another thing we're working on is collateralizing RWA positions, starting with a partnership with Hondo Finance and their treasury products. You'll be able to, in a single click, purchase treasuries and borrow against them at 100% LTV, and then lend those borrowed assets for the current yield. So right now it's 12.1% on top of the 5.1% that a treasury would yield. So that strategy is about a 17% yielding RWA-backed strategy. Apart from that, we plan on also adding a native yield strategies by selling covered call options and working on an omni-chain product for RWA issuance and collateralization. That is most of the features I wanted to demo today. Happy to dive deeper into anything or answer any questions from the crowd if there was any. Otherwise, I'll pass it off to the next presenter. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Appreciate you being here with us today. That was really impressive. Now we can welcome to the stage Andrew from Mole Finance. And just a heads up, Toaster Finance, your demo will be next. Thanks for being here today, Andrew, and welcome to the stage.
Yeah. Thank you. And hello, everyone. This is Andrew from Mole. And thank you, Supra, for inviting me. I'd like to introduce Mole. Mole is a DeFi protocol providing savings and leverage yield farm on Sui chain. And here is how Mole works. The first tier is savings. User deposit in savings to get stable returns. And savings can provide leverage yield farm with the leverage tokens. And the second tier is leverage yield farm. It borrows leverage tokens from savings and provide the liquidity to DEX. And with these two tiers, Mole construct the asset management funds, and the funds manage the position in leverage yield fund for users. And the asset management funds function is under developing now. And for the savings, users deposit in savings to get returns from borrowers. And when users of leverage yield farming and asset management funds use the leverage, they can choose to borrow money from the savings as the lever. And at the same time, users need to pay a certain amount of interest to the savings. And the level interest rates will change with the use rates. When the market capital shortage and use rate is high, and the interest rate will be high, it will encourage users to deposit more and borrow less. And Mole doesn't require over collateral when users borrow from savings. And many other lending protocol requires over collateral because they allow users to withdraw tokens, which is borrowed from the lending pool. But Mole doesn't allow users to withdraw the borrower tokens. Mole only allows them to use loans inside the leverage yield farming and asset management funds. So Mole doesn't require over collateral. And let's see the screenshot of the savings. Okay. And for the leverage yield farming, it borrows tokens from savings as leverage and deposit in the DEX to get rewards. And borrowing from the savings is equal to short operation, where the holding position is equal to long operation. And leverage yield farming allows to do both the long and short operations. Yeah. And the leverage is risk, but however, users are able to avoid risk with many strategies and get rich farming rewards. And here is how the strategy difference. For the market neutral strategy, it allows users to enjoy the farming rewards. It has no impact by the token price. It's like you open a little hedge funds position by yourself. It's suitable for all users under all market conditions, and the risk is very low. And for the long strategy, the position values goes up when the token price goes up, and position value goes down when the token price goes down. It's like you open a little index funds position by yourself. It's suitable for advanced users under the bull market condition. The risk is medium to high. Position may be liquidated. And for the short strategy, it's suitable for the bear market condition. And let's see advantages when comparing providing the liquidity on DEX by yourself with the more system. And more leverage means more tokens and more rewards. DEX has not so much rewards. And more has both the long and short operation, where DEX only has long operation for its own liquid staking. And users can benefit from the long and short operation for more strategies. Also, more supports users to deposit the dual tokens in any ratios as the liquidate provider. And more will auto exchange them to the specific ratios required by the DEX. It's very convenient for users where the DEX only require the dual tokens to be deposited in a very specific ratio. Also, more can auto-optimize the price range of UniV3 algorithm and get high returns. And more can rebalance and auto-adjust the price range of the UniV3 algorithm to avoid sitting the price range. And when users deposit liquidity in DEX by themselves, if the price is out of range, it will lead to bad results that users may not get rewards. And more can help users auto invest and auto compound the interest. Also, more liquid provider can maintain zero position exposure. It's known as a market neutral strategy and to avoid the market risk and receive rich rewards. Okay, and let's see the screenshot of the leverage yield fund. And some of the yield rate of fund is super high. Yeah. Okay, that's all for more. And thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew, for being here with us today and sharing that with all. And now we'll welcome to the stage Kelvin from Toaster Finance. And just a heads up, Navi, your demo will be next.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kelvin from Toaster Finance, and I first want to thank Move and Supra for inviting us to present here at MoveCon. So here at Toaster Finance, we simply try to make DeFi as easy as making toast. So what we are building in simple terms is a one-stop DeFi investment platform aimed to contribute to mass adoption. So before I get into the details, I would like to first talk about why we think this is the perfect time for such a consumer app. As you all know, starting from early this year, there has been a significant change in how the traditional market perceives crypto. Traditional finance is quickly accepting and adopting crypto assets into their portfolio, which was accelerated by the approval of Bitcoin ETFs filed by major asset managers and the approval of BlackRock's new STO BUIDL. With huge inflows from traditional institutions, the price of crypto is slowly becoming a stable investment. Due to this trend, there is an increasing number of retail investors that are recognizing crypto as a long-term investment, and the demand for DeFi, which yields stable and high returns for long-term investments, is rising. Despite the growing demand and the market size of DeFi, which had an annual TVL growth of 170%, there's still a huge problem. The DeFi monthly active users only grew by 28% compared to last year, which indicates a huge bottleneck of newly onboarding users. The biggest problem we saw in onboarding new users was the unbearably complex onboarding experience. For new users who want to invest in DeFi, they need to go through a very complicated process, as you can see here on this slide. They need to know how to use all the crypto infrastructures like wallets, chains, bridges, and dexes. Right now, there are hundreds of chains, thousands of protocols, and tens of thousands of tokens to choose from, which is very overwhelming. Even if they were able to choose what to invest in, it is even harder to execute and manage your investment. In order to solve all of these complex problems, we thought of a simple solution which provides all the complicated process from start to finish in 3 simple steps, all in a single simple app. Even beginners who know nothing about blockchain can easily learn, invest, and manage their investments and quickly realize their profits. First, we saw that the end game for accessibility was through mobile apps, and especially ones that you can simply add to your home screen through PWA. Through the mobile app, users can engage with their portfolio anytime, anywhere. Also, with the integration with Wallet Connect, users can create wallets simply just through their emails. Next, we provide interactive and incentivized quests for a better learning and onboarding experience. Through chain abstraction, we took an intent-based approach so that users only need to know what to invest in, and we provide all of the how and abstract everything else. Also, through a streamlined UX, users are guided through the whole process, never getting lost or losing track. So basically, you just click and you're done. Lastly, when you are done executing, we provide a comprehensive management tool, which is composed of the protocol-specific P&L tracker powered by the graph, which shows you the exact and historical P&L tailored to your specific position. Also, all the management transactions like withdrawals, compounding, increasing liquidity, and rebalancing is all available with a single click, so you don't ever have to leave the app. This is a simple demo of how our app works. So you choose the assets you want to invest with and the chain and the investment, and we choose the best route for you. So all you need to do is just click and approve, and you don't even need to use other wallet apps. You just need to use our app to approve all of the transactions, and you're done just like that. It takes only like 10 seconds. And our value proposition is acting as an easy onboarding channel for networks and protocols, and as a convenient all-in-one tool for retail users. We've partnered with protocols that are interested in easily onboarding new users, like Linea, Scroll, providing their community with UX enhancement tools. We've beta tested our MVP web product for 6 months with 5,500 unique accounts engaging with a total volume of 770K and a conversion rate of 44%. Until Q1, from the launch of our MVP product, we've actively tested many features to see what would be the winning feature for users. We also just launched our fresh new mobile app, which is currently available. Next quarter, we'll be integrating partnership quests and be focusing on the local market. On Q4, we're planning to integrate cross-chain intent for a further improvement in our UX, enabling a one-click gasless execution. We are a team of 4, and starting from last year, we've won 12 different global hackathons and also are the grantee of Gitcoin's GG20's OSSDF grants. And also we participated in the very first cohort of the pre-acceleration program by Consensus, which greatly helped us improve our product. You can use this QR code to check out our app. It's completely free to use and live, so feel free to try it out. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kelvin. That was great. Really impressive. Now we can welcome to the stage Elescope from Navi Protocol. And just a heads up, Aftermath, your demo will be next. Thanks for being here, Elescope. This stage is yours.
Hey, Elescope actually has something else today, so I'll be presenting for him. Just a quick introduction of Navi. Sorry, my name is Shirley, and Navi is a leading DeFi protocol on Suite network. So let's go over what's Navi. Navi is the one-stop liquidity protocol built on Move. Navi products offer easy-to-use lending and borrowing. Navi is the foundational DeFi infrastructure in the Move VM ecosystem, by building a vertically integrated liquidity protocol. At Navi, we believe in the future mass adoption of DeFi and entrust simplicity and security of the Move language. Here's some overview on our metrics. Navi is the largest DeFi protocol on Sway network, with 260 million in total market size, over 830K users, and more than 90 million in borrowed assets. Since its mainnet launch 11 months ago, Navi has dominated both lending and liquidity staking market on Sway, with 230 million in lending TVL and 35 million in liquid staking TVL. Our growth metrics are equally noteworthy. We've seen a 300 increase in TVL quarter over quarter, rising from 50 million to 230 million. The number of unique users grew by 7.9%, from 750,000 to 830,000. And daily active users surged about 1,000%, from 300 to 3,000. Moreover, we maintained a 45% average utilization rate across all assets and have generated 3 million in total borrowed fee. Navi also has a strong social media presence with about 100,000 followers on X or Twitter, 25,000 members on Telegram, and 45,800 members on Discord. Our Twitter impression reached about 750K per month, and we've seen about 10,000 reposts monthly. Our marketing campaign also included our race series, which took place from May to June this year, featured around 8 rounds of events with the total prize pool of 13.3K of our NavX token, attracting over about 10,000 participants and 1.2 million views. We also have integration with MSafe and enhance our digital asset management with multiple signature securities, drawing about 387,000 participants. Yeah, so as I mentioned, we issued our native token earlier this year called NavX. Currently, there are about 20,000 on-chain holders of NavX, and the daily average trading volume is around 13 million. NavX is also listed on some major exchanges. We also acquired Volo, which is a liquid staking company, earlier this year, one of our significant recent development. This acquisition makes Navi the first combined borrowing, lending, and liquid staking solution in Sway network. This positions us as a key liquidity provider on Sway, and the recent news is Volo reached about 40 million TVL earlier this month. Another major initiative is our ecosystem fund program, which we launched to support the ecosystem builders on Sway. We have allocated around 10 million NavX tokens to this fund to drive the development of new project and expanding the Sway ecosystem. Here is a brief walkthrough video on our current partnership with Stash for users to be able to use our app by just logging into their Google account. So first of all, you're going to be logging into our website and launch the app. To connect the wallet, it's just click on the Connect Wallet button and Stash to approve the login. And then you can easily be able to supply any tokens you want and to borrow any tokens. Yeah, so here is borrowing NavX. Just quickly approve the progress. And then up to the borrow page. You can choose multiple different tokens that you wish, but here is Sway. Yep, and it's all done. We aim to provide a really easy and smooth user interface for all users that can be new or old to all different kind of Web3 protocols and applications. Yeah, just to summarize, Navi has been showing some impressive growth and some strong community engagement driven by our strategic development and innovative marketing campaign. And thank you for your time to listen.
Awesome. Thank you, Shirley. And sorry for introducing you as Telescope. But thank you for being here today and sharing this with us, sharing that with us again. Very impressive. Now we can welcome to the stage Kevin from Aftermath. And just a side note here, pseudo protocol, your demo will be next. But thanks for being here today, Kevin. Go ahead and take the stage.
All right. Yeah, it looks like everyone can hear me. Yeah, hello everyone. First off, thanks for having me here. Really appreciate just having the time to be able to speak about some of our products just to the greater Move audience. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Kevin. I am one of the co-founders and CTO of Aftermath Finance. And today I have the pleasure to be able to go through a few of our more recent product launches. And primarily I've tailored this talk around our DEX aggregator V2, which we've launched in the past month, and I'll get into that. But first, I will say that it's really exciting that this is the first kind of public outing or announcement of our V2. I've been very private about it. And then before I get into the design of everything and about the implementation itself, I do want to dissect this title a little bit and what do I mean by DEX aggregator squared. So as you guys may know, if you use Aftermath, you've likely used our trade page before to swap from one asset to another. And this was a product that we launched back in July of 2023. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary on that. And this was from the start, it's been our DEX aggregator V1. I got the job done. It was a good product. But since then, there hasn't been too much growth for it, apart from config changes or minor improvements here or there, or adding additional liquidity sources. And then recently, in the past month or so, we soft launched our DEX aggregator V2. And as I'll get into it, it has some pretty considerable improvements over our V1 design. But with the same soft launch, we also released support for our DEX aggregator, which is an entirely new product altogether. And then what you get when you add these together, you get DEX aggregator squared. You can just trust me on the math. You don't really need to do it yourself. And then again, before getting into the design, I do want to go through some terminology a little bit, just so there's no confusion on the terms that I'm using versus how other people use these terms or similar terms within Web3 or on Sui specifically. And the transaction I want to go through to highlight the different terminology is this one that I did through our V2 yesterday. So I really like this as an example for a lot of reasons. First, it just shows where we excel, right? This is a very complex transaction. It shows on the left the type of granularity you can expect when using our product. But then also you can really see by doing this one transaction, you're interacting with all of our integrations. So in that first line, you see Deepbook, Kriya, and Turbos. On that second line, you see FlowX. Third line, BlueMove. Then you see Aftermath and Cetus on the fourth line. Then down at the bottom left, SweSwap. So just through this one transaction, you're interacting with a plethora of different protocols on Sui without even really having to be aware of their existence. So let me start top down for terminology. And what you're seeing right now, that is the entire route, right? At a high level, you're swapping from Sui to FUD, right? The user they specified the two different coins. You don't really care from the route's perspective. You don't care where you're interacting with. You just want to start from the one asset, end up in FUD. And then if we go down a level, right, this is where you have the path, right? Especially if you're trading at size and still if you're trading with a small amount, it's beneficial to then split your input amount into multiple different paths and then send those paths down individual IMMs, send it to individual IMMs when you swap. So you're not hit with a large amount of price impact per swap. So this route is split in between 7 different paths, as you can see. And then the paths themselves are broken down into swaps. And this is now when you're interacting with an individual protocol. Here I've outlined an interaction with Cetus, but this is one specific pool that you're swapping with. It has its own input coin and output coin. Maybe it doesn't match the input coin of the trade or the output coin of the trade or the entire route, but this is one intermediate trade that you're doing. And then let's zoom up again, right? The route itself is also one transaction. So it's one single atomic transaction, which is I'll get into that, but that's a property that we want with our DEX aggregator. So let's actually get into the products themselves, right? I said there are 2 different products. So I'm going to interleave the overview between both of those. What can you expect when using our aggregator V2? You can expect the best price execution across all of Sui. And we attain this through a couple different means. First, we have the most amount of integrated liquidity sources. If you want the most optimal route, you need to have visible all the liquidity on Sui. So we've integrated with, I showed in the last trade, upwards of 8 different protocols. So we've integrated with all the liquidity sources on Sui. And when performing a trade, you might interact with any number of those. Also, that last route was a good example of this, about the type of complexity you can expect when using our router V2, right? That was 7 different paths, I think 18 different swaps total, something like that. A very complex route. It's not just sending it down one path, 3, 4 different swaps in total, right? It's a very complex route. And then also that last route was a good example of the granularity you can expect. Let me go back and show this. So she down at the bottom, right? A little bit under 2% of the input coin is being sent down this final path. And that's upwards of 6 decimal places worth of precision. That's very granular. With our V1 and some of the other aggregators on SWE, you see very static amounts. Maybe you're trading 50%, 25%, very static numbers. But with us, you have this very highly grained granularity, upwards of 6 decimal places. And then when looking at our DEX aggregator, it's just one unified trading UI, right? This is a simpler experience for the end user where you just have one UI you have to facilitate with. You don't have to open up 3 different tabs or maybe a 4th one if another aggregator launches tomorrow. You just have one single UI, and you see the different comparisons of the routes, and then you're able to select who you want to interact with. And then I'll get into this a little bit more on the next slide. But with our DEX aggregator V2, we have a heightened focus on chain security. When you're interacting with a lot of different protocols, there's a lot of individual swaps. With that CETA swap I highlighted, you have some intermediate coin you're ending up with, and then you're using that as input for the next swap. We want to make sure that input coin is not what you're trading from at CETA and then using as the input for the next route. We want to make sure it's being used in full, and a percentage of it is not being siphoned out. So we use a lot of Move design patterns, which I'll get into, to have this heightened security. So let's get into the design a little bit. And again, right, when you have this very complex route where maybe you're doing 18, 20, 25, 30 different swaps, it would be a poor UX for the end user to have to click accept transaction 30 different times, whatever the amount of swaps you're doing. So we use programmable transactions for 2 different reasons, but we use it primarily to have that one single transaction that the user has to accept. And there's also the benefit of, we want the transaction to be atomic. And what I mean by that is if there's a failure throughout the transaction, likely due to slippage throughout, if there's a slippage failure, you want to revert the state of the route back to the beginning of the route and not some intermediate state where you're trying to trade at CETA and that intermediate coin 6 paths in or whatever. You want to end up back with the SWE that you started with, not some intermediate coin. So programmable transactions allow us to have that singularity of one simple transaction that the end user accepts, but then also the atomicity that we desire when having such a complex route. We also use hot potato, which I won't really get into what that is, but if you're familiar with that, it allows us to have kind of validity checks across the entire programmable transaction. Slippage is the best example there. If user says 1% slippage, we want to enforce at the end of the route no more than 1% slippage was actually attained throughout that entire route. Hot potato allows us to do that. And then also in tandem with us writing custom move wrappers around all of our integrations, it leads to that heightened level of security where we can verify that only the integrations that we whitelist can be interacted with, and a malicious third party can't come in and write an integration and siphon out 50% of the funds throughout the router or anything like that. So again, these Move design patterns allow us to have this increased level of security. And then the DEX aggregator itself is largely off-chain. Everything I mentioned prior is different on-chain pieces that we have for the Move contracts, but the router or that DEX aggregator itself is largely off-chain. And because of that, we've had to build out our own custom indexing, off-chain indexing pipeline. So we can then replicate the state of these integrations off-chain. Deepbook, CETA, whoever, we've had to replicate their state off-chain. And then we run an algorithm on top of that state in order to find the best route. And compared to our V1, this has a lot of benefits. Our V1 was pieced together using TypeScript. We've completely rerun everything in Rust, largely due to performance, right? Rust has enabled our DEX aggregator to become a much more performant product as a whole. But then it's also allowed us to then decouple the routing algorithm with the indexing pipeline, which means we can make improvements on either side to the algorithm itself or to our indexing pipeline. And they're not strictly tied to each other. And you'll see that with our DEX aggregator v2.5, where it's going to have improvements to the routing algorithm, but not so much touch the indexing pipeline at all. Let's go into the UI. What does this look like? So it's very reminiscent of our aggregator v1. It's what you would expect, right? You're starting with one coin, you specify the coin type, you specify the input amount and the output coin type. And then you can see at the bottom, there's some route. Right here, it's a more simpler route, 3 different paths, where the first 2 paths, you just have one swap. And that final path, you have 4 different swaps. But then on the right, this is where you start seeing the aggregator of aggregators, where you see a comparison of the 3 different aggregators on SWE right now. With this trade, it's very similar between Flowx and ourselves, and you can, as a user, can select which of these 2 you want to perform. We did integrate with Hop, but then they blacklisted our API keys. Fortunately, we're unable to display a route for them, but we're trying to work with them to get them back into our UI. So we do have that simple user experience for the SWE user. I've already mentioned this, so let me just breeze through this. What integrations we integrate with. I've split this between liquidity sources and aggregates. So what you'd expect, right? Debook, Cetus, Turbos, ourselves, Kriya, Flux, Bluemove, and SweSwap. And then the aggregator point of view, Flowx, just like us, they have an AMM, but an aggregator. So we've integrated both fronts with them. And then Hop, we're trying to get them back into our UI. And as I'm wrapping up, I do want to show probably my favorite tweet about our aggregator v2. And it's from Sam himself. And he tweeted this and was very anonymous about who it was about. But he tweeted a link to a transaction and coined it as an official record for the longest swap programmable transaction. If you go to the link, you can see that there's an incredibly long, complex route, a successful route, I'll add, where if you see the number of events, there's 91, where each individual swap is emitting its own event, and then the aggregator itself is emitting one global event across the entire route. So that means that there are 90 different individual swaps that were performed here. This was a 9x10, so 9 different paths, each with 10 different swaps in order to get from the input coin to the output coin. So it was a really good example of kind of the complexity we're able to attain to with our aggregator and what you can expect by using our aggregator v2. Yeah, I don't think there's a way for me to answer questions here, so I'm happy to answer questions offline. You can reach out to me on Telegram or Twitter or anything like that. Just really happy to talk about our aggregator if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thank you for being here today with us, Kevin, and presenting. Now to the stage, we'll welcome Sammy from Pseudo Protocol. This will be our last demo for the day on stage 1. So thanks for being here, Sammy. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Awesome. Yeah, my name's Sammy. Today I'll be presenting Pseudo Protocol. I'll be talking about some of the problems with past TGEs and how we propose to solve it. Yeah, our main goal is to be an anti-bot fair distribution liquidity bootstrap launchpad. Quickly, let me discuss the history of past TGEs. ICOs in 2017 led to gas wars and bot dominance. 24-hour IDOs in 2021 to 2024 resulted in retail investors often losing money with limited secondary market price discovery. NFT mints, while initially fair, eventually succumbed to bot manipulation. Whitelist sale systems were a less equitable pricing model and gated users out. BRC20 showed the demand for fair mints, but the system doesn't prevent botting and fee auction wars. The pumped out fund model that we currently see on Solana is littered with scams due to the fake volume, ghost bundles, and unfair distribution, and as well as MEV attacks. So over time, as you can see, token generation events have become less fair and more gated over time. In comes Index Protocol on Solana, where they are the innovator of the block-based raffle for fungible and non-fungible tokens. Users purchase for a chance to mint the tokens. The first number of each mint transaction was used to select a winner by getting the absolute value to how far it was from the picked number of the block hash from either the left or the right using an off-chain indexer. There was one winner per block. All sold from the ticket sales were added as locked liquidity for 3 years for the 0 mint. In 2 years, with Anatolia as the beneficiary of the LP tokens for the 1 mint. For those 2 mints, they raised a collective of 13,083 Solana. The 1 mint proceeds were used to offer a 2.5 sold bid for the entire collection. So the price of the NFT wouldn't go underneath that price. Here are some analytics from the 0, 1, and 1 mint done by Index Protocol on Solana. As you can see, we have some interesting KPIs here. For the first mint success rate, this is the most important number, to be honest, but yeah, it's some interesting data. You can check it out at dune.com/analyzer_meta. So now what is Pseudo Protocol? Pseudo Protocol is an innovative approach to fair TGEs launching on the Aptos blockchain, designed to address the ongoing challenges of crypto sniping bots and unfair distribution. Like Index Protocol, Pseudo Protocol aims to revolutionize the minting process and make it more equitable for all participants. The way it works is users purchase tickets to enter the mint raffle. Transactions are recorded into the raffle contract chain. Winners are selected by calling Aptos randomness function every 1 second. Mint period can be customized to 15, 30, 45 minutes, 1 hour, etc. Ticket proceeds are pooled as locked liquidity for tokens or collection bids for NFT, just like how Index Protocol did on. The MVP of Pseudo Protocol has been developed and is set to launch soon, offering a new paradigm for token generation events on the Aptos blockchain. Let me talk about Aptos native randomness a little bit. I know some of the panelists that spoke earlier during MoveCon mentioned it. Aptos provides a secure on-chain randomness API that generates unpredictable and unbiased random values. This eliminates the need for off-chain solutions or potentially manipulatable methods. The Aptos randomness module leverages an underlying on-chain cryptographic randomness implementation run by the Aptos validators. Pseudo Protocol leverages this by calling the randomness module once every second to select and pay a winner from the list of participants that have purchased a ticket. Winners are selected and tokens are transferred without any off-chain components. It is a fair distribution model that levels the playing field for all participants. This is a quick look at our UI. And if you will allow me, let me give you guys a quick demo. If you guys could switch my screen to the other. There we go. All right, let me see if this works. We just redeployed the contract, so it may not work. Okay. So we are transaction confirmed. Hopefully this works. And we might have some issues because we just redeployed the contract. Might work. Hold on. Oh, I think it worked. Hold on. Let me make a new wallet. Sorry about that. Get some airdropped Aptos. Let me refresh this. Initialize the user state. Now we are going to spin. Okay, there we go. So I won some tokens. If somebody else was also playing this at the same time, one user would win, one user would lose. I'm the only one playing it right now, so obviously I'm going to win. But imagine multiple people using this at the same time for TGEs, and you'll be able to essentially have a fair launch of any token with no pre-sale and locked liquidity afterwards. So yeah, that is all for now, and we hope to be launching very soon on Aptos, and we would like to launch on other chains, including Supra when they launch. And yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sammy, for being here today and taking the time out of your day to come and share that with us. And we're excited about that too. We'll definitely be in touch. But we are actually right at time. I could not have put it as perfectly as we did. It's 12:25 p.m. CST. So first off, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to not only our presenters today, but all the viewers that have joined us and sat through all the presentations and even the presentations before the demos. So if you do want to learn more about Move Prize, please visit move.xyz/prize. Again, that's movecon.xyz/moveprize. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.